Patrick, everyone says you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the E-2
That's not
visa.
true. I'll tell you, all right? I talked to a Colombian guy who invested $15,000. He got approved in Bogota, Colombia. And then we've had clients as low as $60K. You know, a lot of people now are worried with second Trump administration.
Yeah.
There's a lot of noise. I've spoken to former clients and they're all super happy. Can't imagine anyone would prefer not to move to the US. It's a pretty damn good country.
Welcome back to another episode, the lovely family of Visa Franchise. Today we're here with Patrick Findaro. Patrick, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Patrick, everyone says you need hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the E-2
That's not
visa.
true. I'll tell you, all right?
That's not true. They're wrong.
They're wrong.
Yeah.
Haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate.
It's just our competitors.
Yeah, but today we'll be talking about, some options, for 50 to 60K. What would you say has been the absolute minimum investment
I talked to a Colombian guy who invested $15,000. He just put $15,000 in a bank account. Really smart guy. He graduated from a top U.S. university, and he opened a consulting company in the IT space. He got approved in Bogota, Colombia. This is back when we were starting Visa Franchise, like 2016. 15K.
Hold on a minute. 15K?
15K, yeah. That's the lowest I've heard of approval.
Okay.
And then we've had clients as low as 60K.
Okay.
Change of status in the United States. They come on like a B1, B2 visa or visa waiver from Canada. They start setting up the business. Maybe they pay the franchise fee, buy a truck because it's like a home service business. Mm-hmm. And that does the trick for the E2 visa.
Cool. What kind of businesses do you think that would make it work? And are the consulates okay with such low amounts?
It depends on the consulate. If you're applying in Toronto, we regularly see $70,000, $80,000, $90,000 do the trick. If you're applying in Buenos Aires, Argentina, probably 100 to 150K, depending on the type of business, of course. So it really depends. But
based on the consulate,
I would get not caught up, on as much like the visa approval and all that. Just like focus on the business and do a business that you have a high conviction of, and make sure you have like 50K of runway to support your family as the business scales up.
That's what I try to say to people that I talk to all the time. They're like, if we're having a 30 minutes calls, 90% of the questions are about the visa. I'm like, hold on a minute. Why aren't we talking about the business?
Yeah.
Why aren't we talking about the business? Because if the business is right, you set the business up right, and you set it up for success. You'll be employing people, you'll be paying taxes, you moved your money here, and it's consistent with your background and some of your core competences and core skills. There is a good narrative, and when the visa officers look at it and they're like, oh, okay, I understand. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's 50K, 60K that's been invested so far, but it seems like this business is going to grow, and the real value here is in the skills and the ability and the blood, sweat, and tears of the entrepreneur. So, okay, approved. So
there's been a trend, like even since we first started Visa Franchise back in 2015, we had a lot more of like investor types that weren't rolling up their sleeves and like grinding it to make sure the business works. So they would invest $200,000, $300,000, even more for the E2 visa. But now, most of our clients are investing 100, 150K.
Yeah.
And then many, especially our friends to the north in Canada, as low 80K, some even less.
Yeah.
So if they want to see that you're going to work and make this business a success. And I think it's going to be, for a lot of these, it's more about you as the individual being able to selling the consulate officer that you're uniquely positioned to drive this business forward. And just then, proving that, you invested enough to get the business going.
Yeah. So, franchising seems to be the secret weapon here. Why is it that the consulates love franchising?
What do you think I'm doing?
What are you doing?
They can Google.
Oh.
So it's like most of our clients are investing in franchises that have been around for 10 to 40 years.
Yeah.
And they can type in the brand and see that you, the E2 Visa investor, signed a contract for 10 years to run this franchise brand. and you have all the financials of the past 200 franchisees, how they scaled up month to month or year by year. So it's easy to verify. It's not just some BS business plan that you're putting forward to the consulate officer. It's based on the historics, and it's not you know, Aladdin moving from Turkey. There's been another 10 E-2 visa guys like me, and they're kicking ass. And there's another, you know, 200 Americans that opened up, and they're making a lot of money from this. And you know, I've already had success in Turkey. I've already, you know, I've managed a team, and you know, it's kind of all goes together.
Yeah, but you can actually document that.
Yeah,
right?
it's
you can
documented.
show track record.
So the historic sales are documented in 60% of franchises. But for a Visa franchise, our portfolio of about 80 vetted brands, it's like, I don't know, 9. There's like 2 maybe that don't disclose the financials in the item 19. And then the item 7 shows how the startup funds to open up the franchise. So the franchisor in the federally regulated document, the FDD, is documented in item 7 how you should spend money to open up a franchise business. And then item 19 is how much money the business has made, generally the historics. They can do pro formas as well for the future, but usually it's the historics, more credible.
Absolutely. I mean, it's much more viable. Well, again, depends. Talking about the guy who got approved with 15K, probably I assume that he must have had a certain background.
He graduated from a top U.S. university, and he was already going to be able to do consulting for, you know, multiple IT companies, and he was already here, you know.
But based on what you're saying, and we've spoken to some of, you know, consulate ex-consulate staffers, and ex-visa officers. Now, you know, so. Yeah, now we have them on our team. What we realize kind of is that if you're going to do your own business, and if the investment amount is very, very low, you got to make sure that there is a very, very solid story. Like the story and the narrative is consistent through and through.
And you should have experience. Like we do have clients doing property remodeling.
Yeah.
But they should already be doing that in the United States and already have, you know, 4 or 5 doors. They've already remodeled, and now they actually have to move here to grow the business, or they come from a real estate background in their home country. But with a franchise business, you as a franchise owner, essentially you already have the brand, you have the product, you have the training manuals. You just have to hire, train, and fire, and you have to service clients. And sometimes you have to sell.
That's it.
So you got to convince the consulate officer you can do those 3 things. You're not going to be going out building vendors, inventing a product, trying to find product market fit. So it's an easier sell to the consulate officer.
Well, the way you put it, it's really interesting.
Do you want to buy a franchise?
Maybe, potentially. Yeah. And answer me this question then. What are some of those overlooked franchise categories that are under, let's say, that I can open up for like 60K, 50K, or like 80K tops?
Like a bookkeeping franchise you could open up for 60K, potentially even less. Senior care, you can get started with about 80K, depending on the city and state. So that's a business you can really grow. And I interviewed on our sister podcast channel on Vetted Biz, someone that grew a senior care franchise to $8 million in sales with a pretty nice EBITDA. So he was probably making like $1 million a year from that business. And that's a business that you can get started at, you know, again, 80K, 100K. So I like those service-based businesses that you don't have to keep on putting capital in to open up the second restaurant or the second education tutoring center, and you can just keep on growing.
How can our prospective clients know about these franchise opportunities? I know they need to reach out to Visa Franchise.
They can check out. We've done a bunch of videos with the franchisors. Some of them we've published on the Visa Franchise channel. Some are private links that we can share, but I think easiest is just book a call with you, myself, and review some of the franchise businesses. Again, we have a portfolio of about 80 franchise brands. Less than 2% of franchises pass our due diligence. Three people it has to go through. Our analyst, associate, then you know we have a final check with one of the founding partners. So
and that's about it.
Very few pass our due diligence. We've looked at well over 1,000 franchise businesses on behalf of our clients at Visa Franchise. So, have a call with one of us and we're happy to go through some potential franchise opportunities for you.
How would that working relationship with Visa Franchise look like? Because right now, for example, if I'm looking to, this is a big thing, right? I mean, there's the money that I'm gonna have to invest. I'm gonna have to pull the plug in my home country.
You got to work too.
Yeah,
you
wrap my stuff
probably
up,
at
come
least
over
two
here.
2 years to this full time.
So it's a very big life change. I want to reach out to you and talk to you guys, but I might not be ready today. So I just want to start the process at somewhere and just take it from there. So how would
our
that working
contract is
relationship
very
look like?
flexible to freeze the contract. So we can get started, on the search. We can incorporate the business, get the tax ID, open up the business bank account remote, get everything in place, and then study franchise opportunities for 2 months. And then from there, pause and we continue on, and you maybe go through with investing in a franchise, or you put the process on hold, or you already have your business up in Canada that you decide you're going to just bring that down. So we're pretty flexible.
How much money am I looking to spend if I retain you guys? Like for 2-3 months, let's say I retain Visa Franchise. Am I looking for an arm and a leg, or
it depends on the scope of the work. If we're going to start, document collection for the visa, opening up the company, tax ID, business bank account, get the whole business structure set, a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
If we're just doing the franchise search and analysis, a few $100s.
Yeah.
So it really depends on the scope of work, but we try to make it pretty accessible. And we produce all these free videos.
Yeah.
We have my first book that was released.
And now the second book's coming out.
Bestseller on how to buy a franchise, 12-step process. And then we have the second book coming out. And basically it's a guide with success studies from nearly 20 entrepreneurs that have already moved to the US, many through a franchise business. So we have a lot of ways, you can get your feet wet with free content. You can pay, a few dollars for an ebook, or more for the physical book.
Yeah.
You can retain us for the franchise search analysis, or hey, you're going all in and you want to move here sooner. Let's get the process going at a more accelerated pace.
We just want to make sure that, you guys are, committed to starting. Doesn't have to be, you don't really have to commit to the full thing right now.
Yeah.
But
we can date a bit, we don't have to get married
right now. Right. Let's date a little bit. But yeah, so that's interesting. If you guys are interested in that, obviously there's probably a link down there somewhere that you can click and that you can talk to either me or Patrick, and then we can see what we can do for you. And if there's a mutual fit at the end of the call, we would expect you to, sign our contract and make your first payment and get our process started. Now, that being said, Patrick, before I wrap this up, what would be the success blueprint for a foreign entrepreneur who's looking to come to the US, get the E-2 visa, maybe do it through a franchise route? What would you say? I mean, look, I don't want you to give away the book a little bit, but we're now in the process of publishing a book where you talked to 15 of our previous clients who have been very successful with what they're doing. So what sort of a blueprint that you see? I know you're very good pattern analyzers. What are what are some of the patterns that you are able to analyze?
I'll talk about the personas that do the best and our previous clients that have had the most success in the US. But first, decide on kind of the path or a couple paths to move to the US. Start your business, buy a business, do a real estate related business, buy an existing business. There's a few different paths. And study the visas yourself, understand the opportunities. We'll bring in the strategy attorney and make sure that it really is the correct option for you. But come prepared and figure out what the non-immigrant visas are and what the immigrant visa options, the green card options are. And we lay out all that out in chapter 4. So I would say how you're going to make money in the US, what's going to be your ticket to get into the US, and then, site selection, deciding on the zip code, the city, state, and getting those items in order, and then getting your family affairs in order as well with the kids' schools and all that, healthcare. There's a lot to figure out, and we're here to guide you. And the book gives that guidance. But if you want us to hold your hand and make it happen faster and spend less of your time, you can pay us for that, and we'll be with you every step along the way.
Yeah. Patrick's got a little gift for you guys, and we're going to try this for a couple months, I think, and we're going to see whether we're going to continue doing this. So this is a new option that we're rolling out. It's $99 a month. We'll be providing, franchise search and brand due diligence services. Patrick, would you like to talk about it a little bit?
I didn't know we were going to market this. I thought this
we're
was
not
just
marketing
like for
it,
select
but
folks.
We're not marketing it, but I just want to let's see what the reaction is going to be like. Let's see if we're going to be able to handle, because
people are serious and they're really committed, and there's a lot. We think there's a mutual fit, and there's a high likelihood that they're going to continue the process, invest, and also that we think they're going to obtain the visa. Then sure, we can work on that and take those clients on. And so far, it's been a good success. But for those, within filling out the questionnaire within 2 days, schedule the onboarding call, and then get to work. Our team, we're going to assign 2 people in your case to research opportunities, to do territory checks, see what's available for you, and go through the financials together, and then connect you with franchisors, connect you with franchisees, talk to our former clients.
Yeah, that's
we've
important.
had clients on the YouTube channel, but there's many other clients that are very low profile. And I had to change the names of some of our most successful clients that I did case studies for, because they don't want people knowing how much money they're making and how successful they are. And I don't blame them. That's fine. We need more of those low-key people.
I'm like that too. I don't want nobody to know how much money I'm making.
So don't take it from me. Talk to people that have already gone through the process, and we're happy for paying us a relatively small fee. Shows that you're serious and that you deserve to be at the table, and we're happy to connect you with our former clients, and you can talk to them about the experience. And a lot of people now are worried with the second Trump administration. There's a lot of noise, and I'd be curious. I've spoken to former clients, and whether they're living in Texas, Florida, California, they're all super happy still. And I can't imagine anyone would have preferred not to move to the US, or would advise you, don't come now. Because how much people complain about the United States and the US, it's a pretty damn good country. When all things are considered.
Of course it is. So, I mean, Americans are, here's the thing, you guys are spoiled. You guys think that, the end of an empire, this, that. And I get to see this all the time. We got this problem, we got that problem. Man, you got no idea what other problems people are dealing with other places. So
people are swimming across rivers to get into the United States. And
it's been a great experience. I mean, I've been coming and going to the U.S. for a pretty long time now, and being official living here, and father of an American. So I'm half American myself. So
and also, it's like what you make of it. Like, we're sitting in Miami, the foreign-born population, I think it's like 35-40%.
Foreign-born?
Yeah, people
I think it's
not
more than
born
that.
in the U.S. Yeah,
I think it's more than that. Much more than that.
So a lot of people, I'm their only American friend here in Miami.
Miami's very international.
So it's almost like a city-state. So if you want the international vibe, and there's Miami, there's a lot of
one
cities.
of those places like Dubai, Miami.
Exactly.
No one
Singapore.
really cares where you were born, and so long as you're here in Miami, and if you understand
how you look. I don't think people care. Your origin, race.
So after some level,
it's easy for me to say that as a white male, but like talking to friends that are from all over the place, like.
No, I mean, if you're at a certain level, career mindset and outlook and network and net worth, it really doesn't matter.
It's competitive here, though, right?
Depends, though.
Yeah.
It is competitive, yes, but there are more opportunities, right? Yeah. So you want to go where the competition is, because that's where the opportunity is. That's why people go there. Yeah. But anyway, cool, Patrick. Well, that's been a great discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And guys, if you're interested in, starting your E-2 visa journey, with us, Visa franchise, and let's get on the phone and see some of those options and see what would be a good fit for you, and then we'll take it from there. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.